Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the John G. Kohalby Events Center.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Ozanek and welcome to Destination Michigan. We're coming to you today from the Michigan-Vietnam Memorial in Mount Pleasant. And in today's episode, we're celebrating America's independence and honoring all that Michigan servicemen and women have done to defend our freedom.
Just about everything we have is unique. The story behind the artifact that makes it unique.
We'll start in Grass Lake, where a small group has dedicated themselves to preserving Michigan's military heritage.
It's a must right there to remember all of us. Not just Vietnam veterans, but all other veterans from all the wars.
In the city of Muskegon, the group Rolling Thunder honors our troops and displays the traveling Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall.
One of the biggest things that I've lost when I got out of the military is the camaraderie.
Meet Team Red, White, and Blue in Lansing and learn about their mission supporting post-9/11 veterans and their families. We'll also meet the women behind Pinups for Patriots, and Bob Garner pays a visit to the Great Lakes National Cemetery near Holly. All of these stories are coming your way on this episode of Destination Michigan. Michiganders are a proud and patriotic bunch. Men and women from every corner of our state have stepped forward to serve their country when called. From the Revolution and the Civil War, through 2 world wars, Vietnam, Korea, and into today's conflicts in the Middle East. During the Second World War, Michigan was even dubbed the Arsenal of Democracy, producing more than 1/3 of all war materials. It's a long and proud Michigan heritage that must not be forgotten. And with that in mind, we begin this episode of Destination Michigan with Steve Smith.
That's right, Matt. We go to Grass Lake for our first stop and meet with the dedicated folks at the Michigan Military Heritage Museum, where they're busy chronicling our patriotic legacy.
If you go to some of the other museums, what gets shown is limited. So it's going to be what they consider to be maybe the most important, or maybe based on a deed, or maybe based on more than just the overall historical context. If you come here, you're going to see the soldier that served in the Battle of the Bulge, regardless of what position or what medals he may have earned after the fact. That your neighbor, your grandparent, or uncle, there's a place for it here.
I'd say just about everything we have is unique because it's the story behind the artifact that makes it unique. You know, you go into a place, you see a bunch of uniforms. They're just uniforms, and then when you put a story behind that uniform, it really makes everything very unique.
The Michigan Military Heritage Museum is the creation of the Grass Lake Area Historical Connections. In large part, the thousands of artifacts on display come from individual donations. That includes a collection of 30 uniforms in a special exhibit commemorating the centennial of the United States entry into World War I. The exhibit is on loan from Dennis Skopinski of Ann Arbor.
We've got Italian soldiers, Austro-Hungarian, there's Russian, German, Belgium, French, Canadians, and Italians. And so when you see these uniforms, usually you see them in black and white on TV, and they just sort of are there, or you see black and white pictures. This, you get a chance to go up and actually see what they look like, from boots to helmets, and you can see the colors, and people ask, are these dress uniforms? And the answer is no, these are actually what they wore in combat. As far as combat uniforms go, there's probably no better collection in the United States as far as putting combat uniforms together from the different countries.
As you wander through the museum, other artifacts, uniforms, and their stories draw you in. Like this full uniform taken from a German prisoner the property of Detroit native Private First Class Frederick Knock. Knock also donated hundreds of detailed drawings he sketched during his tour of duty, along with a scrapbook featuring the letters he sent home every day to his mother.
That's George W. Papard Jr. I picked up his uniform back in the 1970s, I think, in Dearborn. And I went through and I saw it was stamped G.W. Papard Jr. So I went to the local library and looked him up and saw that he was in the Marine Corps. So I sent him a letter and was asking him if, this was his stuff. And he sent a letter back, which is on display there, saying it was. And he also sent me a picture of himself, autographed.
Michigan's military heritage surrounds you at every turn. The oldest artifact is this 1760-era British cannon, forgotten on the bottom of the Detroit River until the 1980s.
When the British were in Detroit, they took these cannons out roughly around when the War of 1812 broke out. They were obsolete by that time. They took these cannons out onto the Detroit River because they didn't want the Americans getting the cannons at all. They didn't want them using their weapons against them. They took them out onto the river, carriages and all, and during the middle of the winter. And when the thaw came the next spring, they just let them sink through the bottom of the Detroit River.
The realities of war evoke emotions on all levels. The stories told at the Michigan Military Heritage Museum are sure to ignite dormant memories brought to life through the individual humility and service of those Michiganders who put their lives on the line.
We had a man come who was a 12-year-old boy in the Netherlands, and when he ran into the exhibit about the food drops in Holland, it just brought him to tears because he said it saved his father's life, it saved his life, and we were able to connect him with the veteran that flew that mission for a phone call at a later date, and it was really just incredible to watch that happen.
The museum opened in November 2016, and already it's out of room. Plans are underway for renovations that will help ease the space crunch.
During your visit to Grass Lake, make sure to add stops at the Co-Historical Museum, recently added to the National Register of Historic Places. And you'll learn about the now-defunct electronic interurban railways that crisscrossed our state.
Every year on June 6th, we commemorate D-Day. On that day in 1944, 160,000 Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy to fight Nazi Germany.
Destination Michigan caught up with Rolling Thunder as they invaded Muskegon for a D-Day celebration you don't want to miss. All in the shadow of the LST-393, a landing ship that played a major role in the assault on Normandy.
Rolling Thunder was started approximately 30 years ago by an Army sergeant named Artie Mueller. Artie was sad that we had so many American veterans were being left behind in Vietnam, and the government didn't seem to be all that concerned about getting them home. He started the movement. It's turned into a national cause, working with Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families, as well as other groups, to get accounting for all the POWs and the MEAs left behind.
Rolling Thunder roared into Muskegon, where the group sponsored its third annual D-Day celebration. One of many events the group spearheads annually to raise funds to support local veterans.
A lot of people think we're a motorcycle club or motorcycle group. We are not. We have many members that don't have motorcycles, but on the other hand, we have a lot of us that do, and we take advantage of it, make some noise, and draw some attention to our group. All the money we raise stays in the community. We support the Grand Rapids Home for Veterans. We have a birthday party. We serve cake and ice cream every other month. Every veteran gets a birthday card on their birthday that's in the home. And they also have a carnival in July that we're there for. And any veteran in need in this area can get a hold of us, and we'll help them any way we can. If they need a hot water heater, we've done hot water heaters, or help with a bill, that type of thing.
The LST-393 served as a backdrop for the day, which was filled with military memorabilia. The LST played a critical role in the D-Day attack at Normandy and is one of only two left in existence today. Another highlight was a World War II battle reenactment. But the real attraction was the Michigan-Vietnam Memorial Wall, escorted into Muskegon by Rolling Thunder. The wall contains the names of the nearly 2,700 Michigan military men and women who never returned from battle.
Some people, veteran brothers I would say, will not go into the tent to look at the names because they still have something right there. It hurts them just to walk in and see the name. And they do start crying a little bit and whatever. So what we do is one of us will go out there and kind of console them a little bit and just, hey brother, you don't have to right there. You can be out here fine. Yes, you will find a lot of them right there that will not go in there. Some will go in there and the next thing you know it, they're in tears. But we're always there to back them up, to help them out, whatever.
Orozco is a Vietnam veteran, so he does what he can to help support his comrades overcome with emotion.
I was stationed in Pleiku in the Central Highlands, and then from there ran around to Kontum, and then finally to Dak To, which I call the Deadly Hills of Dak To because a lot of action took place there. And I was with the 299th Engineer Battalion combat. And yes, I spent my time out there, and I'll tell you, we lost quite a lot of brothers, and I still hurt quite a bit because Dak To area was a mess up there. We were under attack for about 31 days, and it was heavy. We lost quite a few people, and I'll tell you, it was a bloody war. And I made it, thank God, but a lot of my friends did not make it.
While World War II and the Vietnam War were the primary focus of attention, those who have served in more recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan weren't forgotten.
I think people are realizing that we need to support our troops that are over there. Those guys are coming back, and the post-traumatic stress and those type of situations, that's, you know, it's trying to make an awareness. This bad, it's 22 too many. On average, you're losing 22 service members a day to suicides from post-traumatic stress. So we need to do everything we can to help those guys out.
It's a must right there to remember all of us, not just Vietnam veterans, but all other veterans from all wars. That's our legacy right there to continue.
The LST-393 has been converted into a floating museum. It's open to the public from 10 to 4, 7 days a week.
Rolling Thunder is just one of the many groups doing what they can to support our military men and women. And in the city of Lansing, there's another group that has taken their support for the troops to the streets.
So we headed to the capital city to meet with Team Red, White, and Blue. They're dedicated to helping post-9/11 veterans.
Team Red, White, and Blue is a nonprofit organization nationwide that our mission is enriching the lives of America's veterans through social and physical activity. We began, it was about 2010, a couple of veterans had gotten together and they wanted to go do a run and kind of quickly morphed into a large organization, well over 100,000+ members nationwide.
Team Red, White, and Blue includes veterans and community members in nearly 200 towns worldwide. Making connections is the key to Team RWB's impact.
I served in the Army from 1992 to 96, so I had a deployment in Haiti. So I was post-Gulf War, but pre-9/11. So for me personally, after I got out in 96, it was kind of a, oh, okay, I'm just a veteran. I'm not a worthy veteran. I'm a female veteran, and sometimes there's some people will look down at that a little bit, or you just don't feel worthy. The biggest thing that always has stuck out to me, and one of the biggest things that I've lost when I got out of the military and I wasn't surrounded by my military family and friends anymore, is the camaraderie.
When you come off active duty, my experiences and observations are is that you feel like you're an army of one now, and there's nobody to, you know, laugh and joke about the terrible coffee, complain about the chow hall food or whatever, right? You just don't have that camaraderie anymore. Team RWB gives a chance for that person to find someone to hang out with, and once again develop and grow their network of people who are going to help support them, whether it be, you know, just friendships or something that's really, you know, some acute issues.
It seems like a lot of post-9/11 veterans don't necessarily reach out, especially when they have invisible wounds. They don't think, oh, I don't need to go to the VA because there's nothing wrong with me. Everything is in working order, but not always is that true. And I will say we have a lot of divorced single people in our group too. So it's nice to be able to have, we invite come over and have Thanksgiving with us, or come to our house for a holiday.
You can't hide, you can't become reclusive. You have to get out there, and even if it's just going someplace to a social like RWB or any other organization you might belong to interact with people. Find some people who have been through some like experiences and develop your coping mechanisms if you're having problems, and just don't stop reaching out.
We have a social every month, we have run group once a week, we have yoga once a month, and we have functional fitness once a month. We have a triathlon coordinators where we do open water swim and we do triathlon training. So we have a lot of opportunities for people of all different abilities and ages and whatever their likes are.
Katie and the Lansing chapter of Team Red, White, and Blue are easy to spot. She proudly carries the Stars and Stripes, a flag her husband Rick, who's been deployed 5 times since they were married, flew on a mission over Iraq.
Until I joined Team RWB, I didn't realize the significance of Old Glory, our freedom and the sacrifices that so many people have made, and the significance of our flag, and just, I'm proud of my husband, I'm proud of myself now.
I flew with a flag all the time in my bag, and I'd give him a flag. And it didn't matter what country they were from, they grabbed that flag. They yelled it up. But I recall the Koreans, Italians, Polish guys, even some Iraqis, and they were all, they were all so proud to hold up the American flag.
Michigan boasts 9 chapters of Team Red, White, and Blue, so chances are there's one close to you.
And now Destination Michigan returns to Muskegon to meet a group of women who have a lot of style. And as you'll soon learn, there's a lot more to these ladies than meets the eye.
Pin-Ups for Patriots is an organization that supports our military, veterans, and first responders.
It was actually founded by a woman that was a veteran, and she was from a military family, and she wanted more resources and support for veterans in the community, and she loved dressing in 40s and 50s vintage style. She found it very empowering.
Pin-Ups for Patriots is a national organization. Events like this pin-up contest in Muskegon raise funds used to provide resources for veterans.
Right now we're doing PTSD, which is a very major cause with the military. I personally have a lot of family that are veterans that struggle with PTSD. So I think it's a very important silent cause that you don't hear much about when people leave the military. A lot of the problems are adjusting, like especially if you're deployed, if you've had multiple deployments and you're in different areas like Afghanistan, Iraq. My brother was in Dubai. It's very hard with the different cultures and the violence that they see in action to kind of come home to their families and kind of be who they were before the military. So we want to try to get resources so we can help them come back to their family, come back to themselves.
Other causes include providing housing for homeless veterans with PTSD and counseling. Pin-ups have been around for decades. Their prominence captured America's attention in the 1940s as the military sent pin-ups to men in World War II as a morale booster. Today the cause lives on, not only providing support for our vets, but for women as well.
And it's more of a body positive movement for all different women of all different ages and body shapes. I know me personally, as I got older, I put a few pounds on. Most of the shopping stores around there, I didn't feel comfortable dressing that way anymore. So I went to Pinup and I feel much more confident. I used to have low self-confidence and I don't really struggle with that anymore because all the women around me support me.
The Pinup contest participants are judged on their charisma and the authenticity of their hair and attire. To capture the pinup look is no easy task.
Oh, the hair is a process. Right now what I have is I have victory rolls that I tried to do. It's a lot of work. I'm still mastering it. It's a lot of different products, there's wet sets that women back in the day actually used to sleep on, which I can't understand sleeping on foam rollers. I haven't tried it yet. But it's a lot to get this look together. It took me about an hour and a half this morning, and that's with fighting with this eyeliner and having to wash most of my face off and reapply and getting help from my roomie. So to get this put together, it takes some time, but once you get it on, you just feel so confident. I don't know how women back in the day did it every day.
And they look beautiful.
One of the most recognizable pinups was Rosie the Riveter. Rosie was an icon representing the American women who worked in factories and shipyards during World War II.
My boyfriend's grandmother was actually a Rosie the Riveter, so I actually have some of her buttons at home. So he would tell me stories about her going into the factories, working long hours. The one thing that he said that she was most upset about was after the war, they had to go back to working in the homes. And his grandmother didn't really know how to do that because she had been working as Rosie the Riveter the whole war. So she went home and she's like, "You want me to make dinner? I can't work anymore? Like, what am I supposed to do with my life?" So I know it was a hard transition for her.
18 women participated in the Pinups for Patriots contest, with first place going to Dee Dee Honeypot of Detroit.
Pinups for Patriots wants you. To get involved, check out the Michigan Platoon online.
And for our final story, Bob Garner honors those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. So we're going to head to the town of Holly to spend just a few moments at the Great Lakes National Cemetery.
As a kid growing up, I knew lots of veterans. World War I, World War II veterans, and Korean veterans too. There was no shortage of those who had served our country. Since I've grown, that number of servicemen and women who have defended the rest of us has been on a steady increase. Here, just a couple of miles north of the little Oakland County town of Holly, nestled into the Little Lakes and Ridges, is Michigan's newest national cemetery, a place where those who served can rest in peace and honor with the thanks of a grateful nation. Roy Luera is the director of the Great Lakes National Cemetery and encourages visitors to come and pay their respects. Roy, how long has the cemetery been here? It's a relatively short time.
Yes, sir. It's fairly new. They opened up in 2005, and they performed their first interment in October 2005. Just last year, we did over 4,000 burials at the Great Lakes National Cemetery, making us the 9th busiest cemetery in the National Cemetery Administration.
So tell me how big the place is. How many acres?
We have 445 acres. Right now we have interred over 32,000 veterans and their eligible family members.
32,000?
Yes, sir, 32,000, and we are, or the cemetery is, capacity is 244,000.
You do your best to afford some real dignity to the family out here.
Yes, sir, we do have 21 employees here at the National Cemetery, and all of us are veterans.
You welcome visitors here that don't have a veteran here, or you welcome anybody that wants to come out and see this place, don't you?
We encourage anybody to come out here. We are very proud of the cemetery and the work that we've done here and the appearance of the cemetery and the compliments that we get from everybody. So we like for people to come out and take a look at the cemetery. It's just a jewel up here in Michigan that some people still don't know about, but once they come in, they see the avenues of flags, and each one of those flags on the Avenue of Flags is donated off the casket of a veteran, and that's an actual burial flag. That's a burial flag that was on the casket. So when people tend to, or you explain that to them, they have a totally different outlook on the symbolization of that flag now, because now they know that flag was actually draped over a casket of a veteran.
And some family felt serious enough about it to make sure it was flying up the Avenue flag.
Yes, sir, because they would know that we would display it with dignity and honor in memory of their loved one.
To honor these folks further, you're going to place how many American flags this afternoon with volunteers on graves?
We have over 24,000 grave sites, and each grave site is afforded a miniature American flag, and we place them on the grave sites. So we'll have approximately 300 to 500 volunteers that'll come out from the community, the surrounding community, and place the miniature flags on each grave site.
Highest honor of all.
Yes, sir. They come out and they are proud, and a lot of family members, a lot of friends, just people who want to come out and contribute to their national cemetery.
Got to be an honor for you, Roy.
It is very, very big honor to come to work every day, and you heard the phrase, veterans taking care of veterans.
Yes.
This place is it's just a prime example of where we take care of each other, and we know what we've been through, so we do our best to provide a dignified and honorable interment for our fellow military members.
And with that, this episode of Destination Michigan comes to a close. Thank you all for watching. And for all of our veterans and active military men and women and their families, we thank you. Now you can enjoy the Destination Michigan experience anytime, anywhere, online. Just go to pbs.org or download the PBS app to your smartphone or tablet. Search Destination Michigan and relive all of your favorite stories from our beloved Great Lakes state.